Welcome into OutKick the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having a fantastic Tuesday, wherever you may be across this country. OutKick's programming from New Orleans starts today. If you haven't seen it yet, set is fabulous from Radio Row, Streaming Row, fabulous New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to be having a ton of programming that is headed your way. Encourage all of you to be there to check it out. I will be live Thursday from New Orleans. Was going to be doing the fade with Kelly Stewart. We're going to tape that here. I'm still in Nashville a little bit later today. She got super sick, and so I will be live on Radio Row, Streaming Row, whatever you want to call it, Thursday, Friday. But I actually do mean this. When Hutton and Withrow are live, they're live with their show, I think, on Radio Row coming up, whatever. The set looks phenomenal. Guys have done a phenomenal job setting it up. We've a huge set, should have some fabulous guests for you with the Super Bowl this week. So encourage you, if you haven't already, check out the OutKick streaming network. I think you're going to be blown away by how good that looks. Okay, we got a lot to dive into, but right off the top, I think I have a Prize Picks read. Is that right here? I want to give you my picks for what is coming up for Prize Picks, if they can pull that up. In the meantime, Prize Picks, I encourage you to go sign up. Use code OutKick. You get a free square for Patrick Mahomes. A free square for Patrick Mahomes means that's like the free square on bingo. You just get that automatically filled up. Here are the rest of my picks for the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, more than 1.5 passing yards. That is a guaranteed winner. Then we have 0.5 Saquon rushing or receiving touchdowns more. That means Saquon Barkley has to get a touchdown. We've got Juju more than 15.5 receiving yards, and Travis Kelce more than 63.5 receiving yards. So that is my picks. Clip it, share it. That is the read. PrizePicks.com, code OutKick. Get hooked up now. Be ready to roll. That is prizepicks.com, code OutKick. You get $50 when you play $5. Big game between the Chiefs and the Eagles. That is officially the Prize Picks Super Bowl read, and it is done, and it is ready to roll, and we are going to win 10-1 on that pick. So one more time, Patrick Mahomes, more than 1.5 passing yard. Saquon Barkley, more than 1.5 rushing or receiving touchdown. Juju, more than 15.5 receiving yards. And Travis Kelce, more than 63.5 receiving yards. PrizePicks.com, code OutKick. PrizePicks, run your game. That's PrizePicks.com, code OutKick. You can play in California. You can play in Texas. You can play in Florida. 40 states, 10 million plus players. Get hooked up. We're hitting that 10-1 on the big game coming up this weekend from New Orleans. All right, a bunch of stories out there. This is big news, and it's going to be big national news, and I'm not sure it would have happened without OutKick. I'm not sure it would have happened without Riley Gaines. I'm not sure it would have happened without a lot of people who've been working their asses off on this. It's out publicly, so I can say it. Tomorrow, Donald Trump is going to be signing an executive order banning women competing in men's sports. This also needs to be passed by Congress. It's already been passed by the House. I think it's held up right now in the Senate. Adam, you can check on the latest there. If I remember correctly, only 2 Democrats voted in favor of this. I've been on this for years. I can't believe that this is remotely real. The fact that whether men who identify as women should be able to compete in women's sports has become a political issue is absolute insanity. But we have won. There are a lot of cowards out there. Most people in sports media wouldn't even talk about this, or they defended it as being something good. No other sports media company took the stance that OutKick did, which is the one in favor of basic common sense that there should not be men who identify as women competing in women's sports. It's crazy. And we won. Trump is signing the executive order. I believe the bill is going to pass Congress in the House and the Senate. Our own Riley Gaines is going to be there. But this is super significant, and it's a big win. and it's a big win for sanity, and overwhelming majorities of the American public agree with us. This is how the marketplace of ideas works. We go out and we make arguments, and you make arguments, and the best argument wins. That's the entire basis of the First Amendment. And we now have won the argument. New York Times, you don't have to trust it, don't have to just hear it from me. 79% of Americans agree with us that men shouldn't be competing in women's sports. I believe it's 94% of Republicans and even 64% of Democrats. So it isn't just even a real political issue. Yet the Democrat political party, which oftentimes doesn't actually represent the Democrat voter, has decided that they're going to be on the side of chicks with dicks. I can't believe it's real. And this is like a 90-10 issue for sports fans. And ESPN went and gave Leah Thomas a Women's Athlete of the Year award. Trump is going to sign this order tomorrow. Even more people are going to agree with him as this continues to get more and more attention and more Americans realize how absurd it is. And this is one where we won. And we are stacking a lot of wins right now. Trump won the election. Everything changed on November 5th. Trump is going to go to the Super Bowl. I leave for the Super Bowl tomorrow. And I can't wait to get down to New Orleans, city I love. And Trump is going to go to the game, the Super Bowl, which should be fantastic between the Chiefs and the Eagles. And we're going to give you a gambling special on the fade that we're taping here in a little bit. But I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the game. I think it's going to be a close game. But Trump is already changing the culture in a massive way. You had players doing the Trump dance everywhere. You also have today the news breaking that the NFL is removing end racism from the back of the end zones. The NFL has cured racism. Congratulations to the NFL. We've been looking for it to happen for a very long time, and it officially has become a reality. End racism coming out of the end zones, being replaced with choose love, just in time for Valentine's Day, and it takes all of us. Now, I don't know that we need end zone statements. The only end zone statements I need are the two teams' names, because that's how sports has been played for most of the time. I need Eagles and I need Chiefs for this Super Bowl end zones. But it is significant, I think, that the NFL, after 4 years, is removing political slogans. Now they need to take political slogans of any type off the helmets, and they just need to get back to playing the game. And I saw yesterday, I believe it was Morning Consult, I know we got the story up at OutKick, that Republicans have now come back and watch the NFL at the same rate they did before the disastrous Colin Kaepernick protest. And Trump going to the NFL is, to me, symptomatic of the NFL bending the knee and watching the Super Bowl and saying, yeah, you know what? You were right. You were right, Clay. You were right, OutKick. You're right, Donald Trump. We won, and we're stacking wins at an unprecedented level. Yesterday, I sent out this tweet. I said, what are we, 15 days into the Trump administration? Right now, Trump is like a Major League Baseball player who came out in April and hit 20 home runs. He's like a golfer who birdied the first 3 holes and is staring down an eagle putt right now. He has come out of the gate exceedingly fast. I don't know that he can keep this pace up. But if he does keep this pace up, he's going to have the most consequential presidential term and most effective and most successful of my life. And I'm not even sure there will be a close second. Now, I'm not that young anymore. I'm 45, so that's a decent number of presidents. We've never seen somebody come out of the gate this fast. Now, Congress needs to get behind him, but as I'm talking to you right now, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. both cleared their Senate committees on a party line vote. They are both going to be confirmed. Every single cabinet nominee that Trump put forward is going to be confirmed. Yesterday, Mexico and Canada rolled over in the face of tariff threats. And right now, again, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. Are going to be confirmed, meaning that Trump's entire cabinet that went to confirmation hearings, he nominated Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz withdrew. Pam Bondi is going to be the attorney general. But all of them are going to be confirmed by the United States Senate. We got winning on a level, frankly, that we've never seen before in Trump's entire political tenure. And I think this is really important. A lot of this should be nonpartisan in nature. We have right now Tulsi Gabbard, who ran for president as a Democrat in 2020 against Donald Trump, as about to be part of his cabinet. RFK Jr., who is the most famous Kennedy and has been a Democrat for over 70 years, now a part of Trump's cabinet. Usually, when someone picks someone who has been a part of another political party, it's a huge sign of bipartisan support. Meanwhile, no Democrats will even vote for these guys. I don't see them as particularly partisan. Elon Musk, I want to focus on this for a minute. Elon has said, I want to bring in a lot of super brilliant guys, mostly guys, probably some girls as well, and I want them to dive into the actual federal budget and find out how much waste and fraud is actually in there. And what they are uncovering is pretty staggering. And again, Republican, Democrat, Independent, why do you want your tax dollars being wasted? Why do you want your tax dollars being sucked up fraudulently? There were years where I did not pay very much federal income tax. Worth noting, half of Americans pay $0 in federal income tax. Now I am in the top 0.1% probably of taxes paid. I paid, over the last several years, I have paid over $1 million in federal income tax every year. I am fortunate to be wealthy. I'm not even bragging about that right now. I'm just telling you, I am in the 99.9 percentile of people who pay for the federal government to exist. That is me. You are looking at him. I am one of those people, okay? Why would I want my money, which I work my ass off to make, and that the government takes 37% of, why would I want my money being wasted? I want to just make this analogy for you. Democrats said, hey, we need 87,000 new IRS agents in order to be conducting more audits because we think individual Americans are not paying their fair share of taxes. And I told you I oppose that. I've been audited. The minute I took over Rush, my audits started. I get audited every year. One year I paid over $1 million recently in income tax. The federal government sent me a bill saying I owed an additional $39.75. Over $1 million taxes paid, and I got a bill saying I owed $39.75. My point on this is everybody who makes a lot of money gets audited already. If you make over $1 million, if you are paying over $1 million in taxes, or if you make over $1 million a year, there aren't that many of us. They're going through our tax returns. Our odds of getting audited are very high. When you add 87,000 new IRS agents, they're not coming for people like me in the 0.1%. They're coming for everybody else. And that's why I said I don't want my money, my taxpayer dollars, going to an agency that's designed to try to catch people who are not paying enough to the agency. Democrats considered it an attack on the government for that 87,000 agents to not be hired. But somehow Elon bringing in a lot of super smart individuals to look at the actual tax dollars we bring in and figure out how they're being spent and whether there's fraud or waste involved is a direct attack on democracy. That's what they're trying to argue right now. Why would you be opposed to our tax dollars being spent in the most efficient manner possible and in the tax rate being as low as possible? Do you know that if we just had a government the same size that it was in 2019, the budget would already be balanced before all the COVID crazy spending? If you just went back to 2019 and said, let's make this the basis of the federal budget, it would already be balanced. I give credit to Elon. The guy is better at making cars than anybody in the history of the automobile. He's better at making spaceships than anybody in the history of the space age. He's probably better at building tunnels than anybody ever building tunnels. I think he's better at running a social media company than anybody has ever been. And he's still got the energy left over to try to remake the federal government and ensure that our economy grows as fast as possible. Now, do you know one of the best ways to help lower inflation from a public policy perspective and lower interest rates on 30-year mortgages and auto loans and small business loans? 30-year mortgage right now is around 7%, as many of you know. It's to actually curtail federal spending, dial back what the government is pumping into the economy, and allow the overall circulation of our dollars to decline, which would bring interest rates down, which would put more money in everybody's pocket. What Elon is doing is far from an attack on democracy. When has someone ever tried to, and they're like, oh, he's a dictator. When has a dictator ever tried to make his government smaller? I would love for somebody to give me a historic analogy. When has a dictator ever said, hey, do you know what I want? A smaller government. I want fewer employees that are responsive to me. I want less money that I have to distribute. This is the opposite of being a dictator. Shrinking the government is the goal that should be the case for everybody. And at least spending the money on American citizens seems like a hyper-rational thing that everyone should support no matter what. This just doesn't seem challenging to me in any way. But trying to analogize the IRS agents compared to people who want efficient spending of actual tax dollars, I don't understand how Democrats have put themselves on the side of American people are bad, they're cheats, the American government, oh, it is beyond reproach. If you asked me, who do you trust more, the average American or the federal government? Who trusts the federal government more? Democrats. They're on the wrong side of all of these issues, and I think it matters a great deal. Tomorrow, well, we'll see. I won't say this tomorrow because I don't have a show tomorrow. Jasmine Crockett has gone mega viral. She's a congresswoman from Texas. She went on CNN and she said 80% of violent crime is white supremacy. She said, Google it. First of all, that's not true. In fact, it's actually a lie. And when you look at the actual data, the overwhelming amount, I like to focus on murders, right? Because sometimes you can argue about whether or not we know every carjacking or every robbery or every sexual assault or every violent act of battery. It's sometimes hard to know because reporting standards are different. Most of the time when there's a dead body, we find out. We know when there's a murder most of the time. If you look at who commits murders, over half of all murders are committed by black men. Black men represent about 13% of the population. Most of their victims are black men too. You are far more likely to be killed in a violent crime if you are black than if you are white, Asian, or Hispanic. Jasmine Crockett, there is no mathematical equation possible where white supremacy is committing 80% of crimes. I don't know if she is just comfortable being a direct liar or whether she's not smart enough to know how wrong she is. Interesting question. What I do know is, she called Trump, of course, a white supremacist too. What I do know is CNN actually has an obligation to fact check that on air if they truly care about crime. And this is one of the reasons we don't ever solve crime, in my opinion. I wrote about it in this book because talking about who commits crimes makes some people uncomfortable. Crime is not evenly racially balanced. That is, white people are 60%, 65%, whatever we are of the United States population. We don't commit 65% of murders. It's not based on sex, right? Crime, murder in particular, overwhelmingly is committed by men. And it's overwhelmingly committed by men between, in general, the age of 16 and 40. If you are an 80-year-old man, the chances of you committing a murder very low. If you are a woman of any age, the chances of you committing a murder are very low. If you are a young black man, the chances of you committing a murder are off the charts relative to an old black woman or an old white woman. We can't fix crime in this country unless we acknowledge where it comes from. And when you have lies like white supremacy, and this isn't just Jasmine Crockett, by the way, Joe Biden said the biggest threat our nation faced was violent white supremacy. Look, I oppose white supremacy. I oppose racism of all types. If you are arguing that someone is better than someone else because of their race, you are a racist. You're also lazy. I want everybody, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, gay, straight, trans, male, female, I want everyone to excel at the highest possible level of their overall achievement. And that's, to me, what the government should do, is provide the best fair and even playing field to all people to allow that to occur. But my goodness, the fact that we could end up in a situation where a lie like that is said on CNN, which claims they care so much about fact-checking, that's just a flagrant lie. It would be like me saying, hey, 80% of all violent crime is committed by Guatemalan midgets. Somebody on CNN should be like, actually, Clay, Guatemalan midgets don't commit 80% of all violent crime. And 80% of all violent crime is not committed by white supremacists. It's probably like 1%. It's probably not even that high because there aren't that many actual white supremacists. This is just a lie. And the fact that lies like this have been allowed to take root, and nobody at the New York Times is going to write about it, nobody at the Washington Post is going to call it out, because it makes them uncomfortable to have to acknowledge where violent crime actually comes from. And by the way, that's unfortunate, because the people who are overwhelmingly the victims of violent crime are black. And they live in inner city neighborhoods. And they know the danger of violent crime and the fact that their kids are overwhelmingly the victims of it. And you can't solve it if you want to address it. And you can't address it in many parts of media because people are afraid, oh my goodness, if I share what the actual facts are, then I'm going to get called racist. I'm going to get canceled. I don't ever get called sexist. Nobody out there is ever like, it's really sexist of the police to be arresting men so much. You ever heard anybody make that argument? I never have. It is, right? The data is what it is. Men are overwhelmingly arrested relative to their percentage of the population. Why would 95% of the people arrested for violent crime be male when men only make up 50% of the population? The only possible explanation for how that could happen is sexism. The police are all sexist against men. That's the argument that people make when they try to explain who gets arrested for violent crime, murders in particular, again, because we know they happen. I made this offer. I will reinstate it. AOC said that Elon Musk is the least intelligent, I'm paraphrasing her, billionaire that she has ever met or seen. Open challenge. I will host a quiz bowl. AOC versus Elon Musk. I will choose all the questions. They will each have an opportunity. We can discuss what the rules should be. I will host it. We'll air it on X or every other platform. We'll raise a lot of money for charity. I will run this thing. Everyone will watch, and we will see. Is Elon Musk actually really unintelligent? And is AOC actually brilliant? Maybe instead of being a congresswoman bartender, AOC could have become a rocket scientist. Maybe she has that skill set. Maybe she's smarter than Elon Musk. Maybe she has an intellectual capability that is off the charts. Maybe she is truly brilliant, and maybe Elon Musk is really dumb. And all of his success has been exaggerated and not based in reality in any way. I offer up the challenge for charity quiz bowl, Elon versus AOC. Speaking of challenges, I am not excited about this. So when you are a parent and you are fortunate enough to have your kids reach their teenage years, this may shock you, the kids do not always listen well to the suggestions being given by mom or dad. So I have a junior in high school. He is about to take his ACT and his SAT, and he has been unwilling to study for it like he probably should have, meaning like he's done, to my knowledge, very little prep. Understanding that challenge often motivates boys in particular, I made the decision to try to get him to at least take a prep course, meaning a prep test, that I challenged my 17-year-old to a head-to-head ACT challenge. Now, I am nervous about how bad I'm going to get cooked here. I tried to back out of all math because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember anything from algebra and algebra 2 and geometry. And to the extent that you are a teenager watching this right now, or you're hearing your mom and dad or grandma and grandpa listening to this, or it's circulating on social media, I'm going to tell you something that they won't. You're probably never going to use it either. Now, maybe you're going to grow up and you're going into engineering or you're going into mathematic fields. Okay, you may use algebra, algebra 2, or geometry. I've had pretty good career success. I've got multiple graduate degrees. I run a company. I've got lots of shows that I do every day. I haven't used algebra, geometry, or algebra 2 since 1996. You will not use it. Everyone claiming that you're going to use it is lying to you. It's a big conspiracy. They told me that I was going to use it. Oh, you're training yourself. You're going to use this for no. I've never needed to do a quadratic equation. I've never needed to do the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or whatever the heck it is, PEMDAS. I've never needed to know how to find the hypotenuse. I have never, ever needed to know what the square root of some infinity number is multiplied by the binomial. I don't know any of it. I've never needed to know any of it. My life has in no way suffered as a result. I have a calculator on my phone. I don't even need a special calculator. I don't even know that fancy calculator that everybody got, the scientific calculator. You're never going to use that either. I have never used algebra, algebra 2, or geometry for basically the last 30 years until tonight when I take the ACC. I'm going to get cooked, I think. 17-year-old is very smart. He has recently had all these mathematical tests. I do believe that I can beat him verbal. I think I might have the skill set still to take him down in the verbal components of the ACT. Not a braggart, not someone who draws attention to himself. I am one of the greatest verbal test takers in the history of standardized testing. I will dominate verbal sections, reading comprehension, vocabulary. I will destroy it. I did nearly perfect SAT verbals. Like I missed one or two questions, I think. I think I could get a perfect. I think it's possible I can get a perfect. I don't even know what's on the ACT, by the way, verbal, but I think I can get a perfect there. I did get a perfect on the GRE, not the GED. I hope I would do perfect on the GED. The GRE, the big, like, hey, everybody's going to take grad school test. I got a perfect score on the GRE verbal, 800 out of 800. I took it at my local Goodlettsville test-taking place on a computer. When I walked up, they gave me the printout score. The girl was like, this is unbelievable. I've never seen this. You didn't miss a single question. I was like, it was like warp speed. It's like a beautiful mind. They just keep giving you on the test. I don't know how they do the GRE now. This is like 20 years ago. They just keep giving you more and more difficult tests on the verbal to try to get you to miss one. On the GRE verbal, this is like, 25 years ago, GRE verbal, I swear the computer broke. It was just like, we can't give you a more difficult question. It was like the computer basically, like at the end, like bent the knee to me. If it could have given me a crown, it would have been like, you are the most brilliant verbal test taker in the history of the GRE. As you go, Like if you're a moron, questions get way and way easier, right? If you miss the first 3, it's almost impossible to miss the 4th. They are like, okay, you're a moron. We're taking you over to this category. But if you keep getting them right, they keep making them more challenging. And I was like Neo. I was like Neo in the Matrix. I'm just locked in. I didn't even break a sweat. The bullets are coming. I didn't miss one. I got a perfect score on the GRE verbal. I don't know how many people do that every year. I'm one of them. So I may be able to cook my kid on the verbal. Also means my brain may be incredibly lopsided because I may take the ACT and be perfect on one side and like mentally retarded on the other. Can I say retarded again? Am I going to get canceled? I think retard is back. I'm going to score really high on one, and then I'm going to score like off the charts, mentally retarded on the other. So we'll see. Verbal, dominant. On the math, a little bit concerned. All right. I love all of you. I will see you at Super Bowl tomorrow. Men are different than women. Thank you, Donald Trump, for making that a reality. I'm going to brush up on my vocab and get ready for ACT battle versus my 17-year-old tonight. And we're also going to tape with Kelly Stewart, the Fade. She is super sick. She's tough. She's going to be with me. And we are live from Super Bowl Radio Row. Cannot wait. I will see you guys then. This has been OutKick, the show.